Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Public Allies. Today's been very different, and we had to try it the second time to log in and go live. So let's start. Today, it's going to be Halloween season again, and we see all the kids buying their spooky outfits and everybody getting ready for it. If you believe in ghosts, and so you're not far, you're not alone. I've been reading this article which said that around 45% of the people believe in ghosts, and as many as 18% of the people will go so far as to say that they have contact with a ghost. But what makes us feel like we are in the presence of supernatural spirit? Are there possible scientific explanations for the tingling sensation you get on the back of your neck, or sudden feeling of uneasiness with an origin you can't quite place? So to know more about this and to investigate, because I don't know much about it, but we have experts here who do. So we thought, why not talk about paranormal activity? And we have with us today 3 experts. And when I call out your name, because we are more people today, just say hello. That'll be nice. We have Chris Noble.
Hello.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Chris Noble is a filmmaker, musician, and founder of the podcast Ancient Mysteries Unearthed. Since childhood, Chris has been making music and movies as his main form of expression. Later in life, he started to develop a passion for ancient history when learning about how the ancients incorporated music into their society as not only a form of entertainment, but also as a functional tool for healing, mind expansion, and so much more. As Chris learned more about our distant past, it became clear that our idea of who we are as humans is still very much a mystery. So Chris set out to connect with scientists and researchers worldwide who are discovering incredible pieces of evidence that rewrite our current history. Ancient Mysteries Unearthed was then created to bring together curious minds from all around the world to pool their collective resources and research in an attempt to better understand our past. Ultimately, the mission of Ancient Mysteries Unearthed is to take the knowledge and wisdom from the past and integrate it into the present. Thank you, Chris. We hope it's going to be unearthed today, the mystery of paranormal activity. Okay, second we have Tanya Burke. Tanya, is that how you spell your name?
Yeah, Tanya.
Tanya.
Yeah.
Okay, Tanya is trained in Eastern medicine and hosts a podcast on consciousness and the afterlife called Life Continuing. Tanya speaks with experts and experiencers to help normalize non-local experiences and explore the existence of life after death. Tanya offers private sessions for spiritual wellness that include intuitive consultations and medical intuitions. Welcome, Tanya.
Thank you.
Last but not least, we have Heather Lee Kemp. Heather's truth-telling is refreshing, life-changing, and encouraging. She's a woman who truly walks the talk and utilizes her 20 years of experience and channel readings to support you in aligning with your soul's calling. As a highly in-tuned claircognizant, she works with individuals who seek guidance and intuitive support in making decisions with affirming reassurance. She creates a safe place for you to widen your perspective while achieving positive self-awareness in complete confidentiality with loving compassion while exploring our deepest internal truths. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is a different topic, and we thought, why not invite some audience into the panel? So we have with us Nisreen Mamafoda, Mandeep Kaur, and Melissa. Thanks for joining. Okay, so let's start. So going with our first question to all of you, what in your opinion, this is for the panelists, what in your opinion is energy, intuition, and intuition, spirituality, and religion. And what do you think the paranormal activity is, and how do you help people determine the difference between that experience? So let's start alphabetically. Chris, you go first.
Hey, there's a lot of questions in that one question. I like it. So there's a lot of things going on here. First and foremost, paranormal implies something that's not normal, but we need to remember, for my research into history changes, and so does science, and so does all the things that we perceive as normal. So it was, normal that we thought the earth was flat. It was normal that we thought we were the center of the universe. Then we found out more information and that normal changed. So with paranormal, it's really the same thing. It's just an area of science, in a sense, that we don't understand, and we still lack information, but we're actually getting a lot more information than we think. There's lots and lots of peer-reviewed science now going into metaphysics and what happens to your body, on an energetic level. What is this thing we like to call an aura, or all these ideas of what make up the human being? It's actually we're pretty complex creatures when you really look into it. So with things like intuition, I always look at intuition as a feeling, maybe an emotional GPS, if you will. It's always there. It's guiding us. We like to call it a gut feeling sometimes. We like to call it maybe sometimes thinking with your heart, or like, how do you feel about this decision? That's what I usually feel intuition is, but we have much better people to explain what that is on this panel. So when it comes to paranormal and what people can do to further understand what that is, I would honestly recommend start to look into the sciences of this, because believe it or not, science is really getting into what we call the non-physical phenomenon. Just another thing to throw at people, we still don't know what makes up 95% of our entire universe. We call it dark matter because we have no idea what it is. Well, what if that dark matter is perhaps something like consciousness, or actual intelligence, thought, liveliness, aliveness, being, things of that nature? And this is maybe what we're doing, is we're just tapping into a small little sort of frame of frequency, that when we have these paranormal experiences, we're just getting information from this vast cosmos of things that, in energy, that we don't understand. So the last thing I'll say on that, because I know we want to keep our answers short here, the last thing I'll say is, if we don't know what makes up 94% of the entire universe, we're still, in that regard, we still don't really know what makes up 94% of us, reality, and everything else. So we're still kindergarten children when it comes to understanding what is this reality that we live in. So paranormal is simply something that's going to become a lot more normal as we further understand what that is, whether it's ghosts, whether it's orbs, apparitions, angelic beings, interdimensional beings, multidimensional beings, etc., and so forth. So I'm really excited to delve more into that, and I'm really excited to hear what everyone else has to say on this, because this is a huge, huge, amazing topic.
Yeah, I understand, Chris, and I agree with you on that. But next is Heather. Heather, let's hear it from you.
Thank you, Chris. I mean, you touched on so much there. For me, I know, paranormal activity is very broad. It's a very broad concept, and it encompasses so much. And I think Chris touched on quite a lot of those possibilities of where that could go. For me, I just kind of really like baseline it that, paranormal or supernatural is just really something that science hasn't proved yet. And I'm a real believer that it's very much in our space, and we're just kind of waiting on science to catch up. So, it's kind of almost like chemistry. Scientists have been trying to figure out why people are attracted to one another. They had a whole TV show about it. Let's fake science and see if these people will marry and like love each other. They had no idea. After years of trying to figure out why people love each other, they just don't know. So, but we can't deny the fact that we do have love for others. So I feel it's kind of similar to that if I had to really baseline it and give a simple example. The other thing is, what is energy? For me, energy is, it's neither good or bad. It's just energy. And it's the foundation of science. And I'm a firm believer in both science and the spiritual world. And I really think that's where it unites. It really meets in this place of energy. And the more we explore that on a spiritual level, and the more that we explore that on a scientific level, the closer we unite. And intuition was another one, right? Is intuition for me, I'm gonna try to say this really quickly. Intuition for me was something that I developed over a long period of time. And what got in the way of me being able to tap into my intuition was actually my pitiful low self. How do you get this thumbs to your head, or it's like, oh, take a left, and your gut and everything, heart says that, take a left. But then your friend's like, no, we're going this way. If you have zero self-esteem, you're going to go with your friend. You're not going to listen to your gut. So for me, intuition really starts in knowing ourselves, having that self-awareness and getting out of our own way and trusting that instead of listening to all these external messages. It's really tuning into who we are. Aisha, was there something else like spirituality and religion, or did I answer?
Yeah.
Do I remember that correctly, or is that
I think I asked two questions at the same time. I just let it be, like, go ahead. Religion and spirituality also.
And I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers here, but as it said in my introduction, I'm a truth teller. I heard someone say this once, and it really resonated with me, is that religion is, religion is an organized thing that we have this faith and belief, and it's quite linear. And but I heard this now, I know I'm saying it now, is I heard someone once say, religion is for those who fear hell, and spirituality is for those who've been to hell. And that really, really resonated with me, in the sense that I have met so many I'm getting head nods in the audience here. I've met so many spiritual people that have become spiritual because they've been through that, where I find a lot of religious people grew up in that religion. And it wasn't really it was their upbringing. It wasn't so much a choice. So I think I'll leave it there. I've touched on everything, baselined it, and I'll pass it over. Thanks.
Thanks, Heather. That was amazing. Yes, you touched upon all of them, and you have to tell the truth, right? And if it's important for people to hear the truth and then decide for themselves which way they want to go. So I appreciate you for doing that. Tanya, let's hear it from you.
Thank you. So I'm all about definitions, because that's how we try to organize and understand the world and the subject. So I'm going to go through each item and try to provide a definition, and then we'll take it from there. So energy, because I'm trained in Chinese medicine and medical Qigong, of course, I'm going to talk about Qi. So Qi is the vital life force energy. It's also prana. There's other names for it and other modalities, but so everything is made up of Qi, from your body to your thoughts and emotions. And so everything in the universe is Qi. And that's what is called energy, even though in some other contexts, some people shy away from that terminology, particularly scientists, but it really is a legitimate and appropriate term. Okay, so intuition is the ability to acquire knowledge without the use of calculative cognitive reasoning. So that's the technical definition of intuition. You might hear somebody say, well, it's actually what's in your subconscious potentially that you're not aware of, that's within you, for example, and then psychic information might be something that you acquire from outside of you. So there's a little bit of discrepancy in terminology, but intuition, I think we all agree, I believe, that it is that inner knowing, that deep inner knowing that you can't possibly know. Religion then, of course, is an organized form of spirituality, because first of all, every religion has a mystical tradition associated with it. So everybody's looking for the meaning of life. Spirituality, religion, we're all looking to understand life in some kind of context. So the paranormal, now this is a fun one. So technically, and as Chris and Heather mentioned, I mean, paranormal means phenomena that can't be explained by logic or scientific reasoning. Okay, so again, technical definition, but something I learned from my podcast, and this is where I get most of my information because I speak to amazing guests with personal experience and expertise. I did a show with Dan Drayson. He's a filmmaker and producer. He did a documentary called Calling Earth. And he actually makes this brilliant point that socially, we can't actually know what's truly paranormal compared to what's normal because we're not allowed to talk about our experiences. So for example, how do we know that our neighbors or everybody around us isn't talking to a deceased relative a couple times a week as a regular part of life, right? We don't talk about that stuff. You don't go to work and start talking about those things. You don't even do that in a social setting. We just don't know if it's paranormal, if it's out of the norm, because we have nothing to compare it to because we just don't talk about it. So that really throws it for a bit of a loop in understanding what it means. So how can we really talk about things that are outside the norm, right? We just have nothing to compare it to. So that was a really interesting point that really opened my mind to understanding this vast subject. Did I miss anything, Aisha?
No, you haven't. And that was amazing.
Okay.
And while you were talking about it, I just recalled, I was reading about a theory which was called Deprivation Theory, where it actually, if I remember it correctly, it actually examines like the social correlation between the religious and the classical paranormal beliefs. Like, it says that, the theory says like the paranormal beliefs are provide people with the means to cope up with their psychological and physical strain, especially the disadvantaged social and in the disadvantaged social and economic status, like the poor and the minorities. So I don't know how much that is true or affects. I'm just putting it out to you guys because you are the experts. You have to tell us whether that makes sense or whether you have experienced that, like, whether it affects those people more or less. So with this, I go into my next question, which is like, have you experienced any paranormal activity in your life and how did that impact or change you? So we start with Heather this time.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad to start. I do have an experience. It was actually the first time I couldn't ignore this intuitive connection and gift I had. And still, again, like I want to say, I think everybody has it. We just have to work on getting out of our own way to actually hear and see and feel this activity. So mine actually a story which is transforming for me really because now what I do. So I had fallen asleep and I woke up in the morning at like 2:01 in the morning, and there was this real, like, almost kind of life being sucked out of me. I can't explain it. It didn't hurt. It was just kind of a bit uncomfortable. And I shot out of bed and I was like, oh, and I was having this thought of a friend's mom who I'd never met. I hadn't spoken to my friend in ages. And then I managed to get back to sleep and I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my goodness, it is so, so peaceful. It is so, like, I have no words to describe the peace that surrounded me. And from there, I called my friend and I said, hey, how are you? I was just thinking of you and I was wondering how your mom is. And they're like, she died at 2:01 last night. I'm like, okay, I can't ignore this anymore. Like, it still gives me goosebumps thinking about it. And it's happened multiple times in my life. And that was the final moment where I was like, no, I can't ignore these other signs that I've had on this path. So yeah, it completely changed my direction in my life. And I'm very grateful for it. So that's just a little snippet. Thank you.
Wonderful. That's actually amazing. Okay. Chris, you want to go?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that story, Heather. And I think everyone doesn't even necessarily have to have as dramatic stories as that. Although I absolutely love those ones. Especially as a filmmaker, I'm like, what's that look like? I want to make a movie about that. But for me, I find it happens on multiple levels. So I've experienced it on really simple things, like when you're thinking of someone and then they text you. that's also another way, a very, very like mundane type of, you know, paranormal or, you know, extraordinary situation. And that happens time and time and time again to me. The more conscious I am of it, the more aware I am of these things, and the less I use my left brain and my logic mind to dismiss those things because they don't fit in our current understanding of science. The more I'm open to it, the more of it I get, the more opportunities and situations that come in where, again, you're just thinking of someone, they message you, or you're starting to really like put a thought together of, I really need this specific opportunity. Well, boom, that opportunity all of a sudden comes out of complete nowhere. On another level, I've experienced it with a couple of years ago. I was traveling in Egypt. I was with an expedition there. A bunch of scientists were doing some research for about 2 weeks there. And we had one amazing day in particular where we got to start the sunrise at the Great Sphinx, and we had it all private, closed off. And I got to, probably one of the best days of my life, have like this incredible moment at sunrise, meditating in front of the Great Sphinx. And I felt my grandfather, who had recently passed away, I felt him there stronger than I felt anything before. And it brought me to tears immediately. But like, I just felt that he was there. And the thing was, is I inherited a very small amount of money from him when he passed. And I put it all towards that trip to Egypt. And I could feel him just being like so happy and proud that he was able to, you know, even in his passing, get me to an amazing experience in my life. And all of this was nonverbal. All this was a feeling, but it's a feeling that like I can't ever mistake. And it was as real as anything else. And then the last little thing that I've experienced, I've moved recently from Toronto, Ontario, out to Vancouver, British Columbia. And since I've come out here, I've had some really incredible experiences in nature, seeing orbs and things like that, orbs of light. One day in particular, I was meditating with a friend of mine, and we were trying to do these forms of meditation you can do to actually connect with extraterrestrials, perhaps, in theory. And I was really curious to try it out. So I was doing it, and 10 minutes after this meditation, there was this white orb of light that just came over the forest where we were out in Whistler, and it felt like there was an intelligence. Was it a UFO? I don't know. Was it an interdimensional being? I don't know, but it was so cool. And me and my friend are just kind of gobsmacked looking up at this thing like, what is happening? So, you know, I don't have the answers. I'm still just a curious human as well, but those have been my experiences, and then many, many more. But that's what I'll share today.
Wow, that's interesting. Did you try it again?
The meditation, yeah. So I can go into more detail later on this, but it's actually a part of a program from Dr. Stephen Greer. It's called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, CE5. You can actually download an app for this, and he has so much. He's got over 25 years of research into connecting with extraterrestrials, and he's a scientist and an extremely advanced meditator. So he's got a whole program on the app or on his website, thedisclosureproject.org. And you can look at the whole process of how to peacefully, lovingly connect with multidimensional beings or extraterrestrials. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Cool.
amazing. Maybe later I would like to know if you connected with them in person. Okay,
Sure. Yeah.
Tanya, did you have any such experience? Can you share, please?
Yes, I have. And I just wanted to preface it by saying, you know, to what you were saying, Chris, about feeling like these are maybe small or mundane, trivial experiences. They are not, because I had a series of small, mundane, and trivial experiences, but over the course of 2 years. But if you put them all together, which that's what I did, I mean, I just had one experience after another. It's like I was shown the whole realm of these extra senses. And piecing it all together, I mean, that really awakened me and enlightened me. So I'll talk about, I guess, the one that really stands out for me, that really shook me awake. I was having a mediumship reading. I believed in psychic phenomena my whole life. And I think as a kid, looking back, I've had them myself, but I dismissed them because that's what we like to do. We just, right? Society doesn't let us do it. We don't want to deal with it, so we'll just tuck it away. So, but the mediumship, the talking to the deceased, wasn't convinced. You know, I'm open, but I was still very skeptical. And I think that's healthy. There's a healthy balance to strike. So I befriended a psychic medium, and I guess I only half liked her because I liked the psychic, but I wasn't convinced on the mediumship. But I thought, but here's this honest person, this lovely, truthful, I don't see her, scamming anybody. I don't see her lying, and so I thought that there's got to be some truth to it. So I finally wanted to connect with my dad, who's passed now for 12 years. This was 7 years after he passed. I was terrified. I was terrified of doing it. I was in grief for a long time. But then finally, I started having these experiences and I worked up the courage. So we had the reading. And in my mind, I remember I had heard another psychics on a podcast say that you can't tell if someone is reading you psychically and getting the information, saying it's a deceased relative, or if they are connecting with that deceased relative. So I thought, well, there you go. I can't tell. So whatever, I'll just be open and just hear what she has to say. She asked me about my maternal grandmother who died when my mother was 5 years old. And she asked me what her name was. And I was in shock, and I had to think about it and I thought, I just had psychic amnesia. I forgot her name. And I said, oh, I don't remember. And as soon as I said, I don't remember, I heard a woman's voice, not the medium, in front of me in my left ear say my grandmother's name, just like that. And it was this tiny little moment in life. Oh my God, I'm tearing up. It was this tiny moment in life that just cracked everything open because everything got validated. My experience is what I hear people talking about, what science is starting to try to prove. All of that just came together in that moment. And I thought, she's not gone, my grandmother. And the thing is, I went in with the intention of hearing from my father. So nothing in my subconscious was thinking about my maternal grandmother. And yes, I knew her name. It'd be more compelling if I didn't know her name and then I was, found out that that's what it was. But whatever, I had the experience. I became the medium. And I think I had to because I kept kind of thinking to myself, to my higher self, I don't know, I'm not convinced. Give me some good proof. And that was it for me, along with a whole bunch of other series of experiences.
Wow, amazing. So, I don't understand it. So you can call me naive or, that I've still not experienced or I'm not there yet in the energy level or what will you call it. But what I realized is when I was really young, I was scared of dark spaces, dark rooms. I used to feel like, somebody's there or, that's, I don't know how that concept got into my mind. But after I grew up or after I started living abroad, you become so strong. I don't even switch on the lights anymore. I'll just walk around the house, even if the lights are off. I don't care who's there or who's not there. I don't even get scared. So is it you mature or you grow up from that stage? Or is it you're scared, you're experiencing something and then you become stronger internally and you're not scared of it anymore? What is it? Do you guys, if you want to say something about it?
Who did you want to hear from?
Anybody. It's just out of the blue question. So go ahead. Anybody
I think
can answer.
a big part of that's it's also conditioning because kids are the most open. Kids haven't been taught what is right, what's wrong, what's real, what's not real. So you're an open vessel. You're completely you're still pretty fresh from, source, so to speak. You're new to this reality. So you haven't learned from our current, society, current civilization, whatever time period we're in, because our belief systems change constantly. So for these kids like yourself and every child I guarantee every kid experiences tons of paranormal stuff. You just forget about it because society brushes it off as not real. So I would say that, everything you experience, you absolutely were sensing other entities. Probably most of them were peaceful. I mean, I have one friend who's a medium. He says there's no good or evil necessarily. It's just the loved and unloved. So maybe you were experiencing, whatever it was, you're picking up on something because as kids, so much more open to information. And that's why they say, especially with past life regressions, but not just past life regressions, when scientists have done a lot of work into past life verification, they always go to the kids because these kids will just randomly at the dinner table one day, 5, 6 years old, will be like, "Hey mom, so where's my wife from my previous life?" And they're like, "What?" You know, like, and then they'll go into this whole story about this past life, and then they'll actually follow it up and verify it. And there's over 10,000 verified cases now, and a couple of these doctors in the US are looking into. So kids are way more open to these things. And then I believe personally that we just get conditioned out of that belief.
Okay. Thanks. Anybody else wants to say something? Tanya, Heather?
I agree with what Chris is saying. Essentially, I wholeheartedly believe that you were sensing things, and you were having a very natural kind of reaction to it with not understanding what it is. Sometimes this information and the connection isn't clear. We don't always understand what we're experiencing, what you're seeing, what have you, but you know you're sensing something. And then the fear will override that. And then it's easy to just convince yourself, you know what, it's not real. I'm just going to forget about it. I don't want to be scared anymore. So it's kind of a decision. And then that's it. Everything is okay. So so that's what I think. I do agree with what Chris was saying as well.
Okay. Thank you so much. Heather, do you have anything to add?
I think they touched on it all now. I'm just actually quite curious if I might ask you a question. Like, where are you at now with being comfortable with the understanding of paranormal experiences?
Like, because I have not experienced, or I believe I've not experienced, I feel like I'm not there, but so this is like, I've never spoken about it to anyone, but my dad passed away a few years ago, but I feel his presence still there. So in that way, that's the only experience I have, and that is a strong experience. Even when he was like alive, he didn't live with me. He lived in another country, and I felt his presence with me all the time. Like, you know, he was the one constantly, anything, like, you know, I was like the daddy's girl, and he was the go-to guy for me for anything. So even now I feel like he's here. Like, when I'm talking to people and they ask, "Where's your dad?" I say, "Back home." Like, you know, it's the instant answer that I get. And then I realize, okay, that's not the truth. But I'm like, oh, he's at home, like, all the time. Yeah. So maybe I'm stepping towards it.
I don't know. I think it's a strong inner knowing, if I can just add. You know, some people, actually, I was on a interview recently, and they were asking, you know, how can you connect with your loved ones? How do you know if you can connect with them? And it's like, really, they're always connecting with us. And you know, I wish it was more scientific and more provable, but it really is that they're always speaking, they're always connecting. Talking about him brings him closer to you, but he's always there. And the fact that you just say with certainty convinces me, from what I understand about all this, is that, you know, your analytical mind is resisting it. But that's okay, because this is a process. Two things I just want to say very quickly is these experiences are natural, which I think we all agree, and they're personal. That's something I've discovered, is that this is all part of our personal journey as spiritual beings, and our growth, and what our purpose is here. So I just wanted to make that quick comment.
And I'm really sorry, a really quick one on top of this.
No, go ahead.
This is great. And so Tanya just sparked an idea for me, because there's a lot of actual, once again, I always go back to science. I have a good balance between the two, because I've had enough experiences in my life to prove that both are very important. And especially in this day and age, I think for everyone to start to understand that we are spiritual beings, but we can use science to explain all that, and to give that logical mind some satisfaction with this whole situation. So there's amazing work being done in the University of Virginia and a couple of others. I'm blanking on the names of the professors who are doing this, but this is all peer-reviewed science, so it's pretty high cutting edge science. And they've taken so much data from around the world of people who have had the near-death experience. And because of the advances in modern medicine, we bring people back to life a lot. What people don't understand is a lot of the time in the ER and the operating room, people die all the time, legally speaking. And to legally die, it's got to be no brain activity, no heart activity. I mean, there's a whole process to be declared legally dead. And so all these people were declared legally dead. They came back, and then they were describing not only their experience in the afterlife, but they were describing what the operating room was looking like at the time, what was happening in the operating room, people that were coming in and out of the operating room, that these people were, scientifically speaking, categorically dead, yet they had memory, and they obviously had full consciousness and were very much them there, but their body, the physical vessel, was done. So modern medicine brings them back. They then recount their experience. And because you're in an operating room, all that's documented. So we actually have really good, solid scientific evidence to start speaking to what happens after you die, and if there is something happening after you die, well, then that implies that consciousness is non-local, because the current theory for consciousness is it's in the brain, it starts in the brain, and that's where we get our perception and of reality. But science is now starting to show other evidence to support that consciousness is non-local, which means it's not even necessarily constrained to time and space and all the other things that make up our third dimensional physical reality. So what's really cool is to look into the research of near-death experiences, and that's going to really enlighten, I think, a lot of people, because once again, science is starting to explain crazy things like even the afterlife.
If I can just add to resources, Dr. Bruce Grayson just came out with a book called After, and he studied, I believe it's about 40 years of near-death experiences, and he has all the information, all the research compiled in this new book. It just came out actually this year. So that would be something to look into.
Yeah, maybe I will read that. Yeah.
That's
okay. Go ahead, Heather.
Oh, no, I just want to thank you both, or all three of you, for really bringing up, some intriguing things. Chris, more of like kind of the collective consciousness in a sense, and that is bigger than us. And I love the science. Like, I'm a bit of a science nerd, so I'm loving all the facts and figures and insights. And thank you. And Tanya, I just wanted to touch on, you were saying, about being able to connect, like giving the, a little bit of guidance to Aisha and our viewers, is I think it's very possible to connect to those who have passed over, or those family members, or whoever we really want to call in. I have a really lovely meditation to kind of help start building that connection. And I really think that, it really boils down to asking to have that relationship with them, and saying, like, in the meditation, that, one of the parts is, like, show me that you're here. How do you want me to know that you're here? And, it could be through a sense of smell. It could be through feathers. It could be through coins. It could be through heat. It could be feeling a light next to you. It could be a touch. There's so many. And if we ask, I think they're actually almost quite so happy and eager to come forward and show their presence, if we're open enough to it, to receive whatever it is that their message is. So I just really wanted to offer that to everybody, that it's all possible for all of us. And I really do think they just want us to ask and open up to it, and allow it to happen. So that's just my little 2 points of notes I wanted to add. Thank you.
Amazing. I'll definitely try that, Heather. But that was my next question. Like, how do you help people understand and reconcile with these paranormal experiences? So Heather has already spoken. So Tanya, do you have, do you want to talk about it? Like, how do you help people?
So there's so many different ways, but really it's about, first of all, connecting with, let's call it that intuition. Really you want to understand energy, but how do you do that on a practical level? So really going into stillness, whether you call it meditation, just quieting the mind, you're never going to stop your mind from chattering. But as soon as you try to just slow it down, even if you get into that slightly hypnotic state, which is when we're watching television, we're actually in a mildly hypnotic state. So even just slowing it down a little bit already tunes out the analytical mind, and then you can tune into what's always around us. So that's one way. So once you connect with that intuition and that quiet mind and try to tune into what's around the environment, it takes practice and time to interpret what you're getting. So the sensations that Heather was talking about, the heat, the tingling, the little lights in the corner of your eyes, the brushing of the hair. I mean, I've had that too. We automatically will dismiss those things because that's what we do. So it's about turning around that perspective and that perception, that not to always assume, okay, that was definitely a spirit, but to just be open and more receptive to what's around us. And eventually, when you do that more often, that's why a practice of stillness on a regular basis is very recommended. You are going to know, you're going to start to interpret what you're sensing. So for example, when I started my Qigong training, I always joke about this. I thought I was the most open and perceptive person going. And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready, bring it on. This is great. Like, no problem. I believe in this. And then I found out that I was actually very shut off and very constricted. And so my ego went through the door first. And that's fine. Whatever. I mean, I was very disconnected from my sensing the environment and the subtle energies. But then over time, by doing the practice, so I just did it through the energy work and learning that process. But the common denominator was the meditations that we did, the stillness, the connecting with the chi. So that's where it starts. And then once you start to sense what's around you, you can start to realize that there is another world to discover and that you are in tune with it. We just have to quiet down. And I think that can help people reconcile what they're experiencing. And I just wanted to add to the inner knowing. There's also an inner knowing that goes along. So I know, Chris, you said with those experiences with the CE5, you weren't sure who they were, what they were, where they came from, but you had a strong knowing that that's likely something a little otherworldly. Aisha, you also have that strong knowing about your dad. So that strong knowing does go with these experiences. So it's just a matter of connecting the two and making and having faith. That's your intuition. It's never wrong. So that's your inner knowing. So I just wanted to add that as well.
Thanks, Tanya. Yeah, I'm going to take everything that you guys say, collectively put it together, and I'm going to try it out. And I'm going to come back and tell you which one worked. Okay, Chris, go ahead. I'm waiting to listen from you now.
I mean, I love what you said, Tanya, and it's so true. And actually, Heather, you touched on this as well. It's about trusting yourself, more than anything. We have so much information bombarding us every nanosecond of the day. It's like we're being told so many things to believe and what's right, what's wrong, and whatnot. At the end of the day, it always comes down to your inner knowing and trusting yourself and that voice more than anything else. So when it comes to these paranormal experiences, things like that, you had it, but it's going to be very easy to convince yourself that it wasn't real. Like you said, Aisha, when you're a child, right? When you're scared of these things, well, again, fear of not just the entities or things and that are there, fear of the unknown, fear of ridicule from your peers, from your parents, from your friends. That's probably the most common fear for people with the paranormal, like we were talking about before, where people don't really want to go to share these stories at work, etc., for fear of not just judgment, but maybe getting let go, because you could, in certain jobs, get a lot of judgment for that. People would be like, well, you're obviously a loose cannon, you got to go. And so you got to trust yourself and be kind to yourself throughout the whole process, because it can really throw you for a loop, especially the first time these things start to happen, and when they really start to happen and you can't ignore them. But at the end of the day, it's I think the reason why the superhero franchise movies are the most popular of all time is because we are superheroes and we are superhuman, and we probably are tapping into like 1% of our real true potential. And what's supernatural and these abilities that we're talking about to hear and perceive things on different frequency spectrums is really just innate abilities that every single solitary human has, and they're dormant and they're just a little more asleep, but they can be woken up. And there's many ways to do that. And my research into ancient history it seems that there were periods of our history where we were completely aware of this, completely and utterly aware of this. This was ingrained into every facet of society. And you can see that in the architecture and statues that are left behind. This idea of life being far more than just the physical reality was common knowledge at certain points in deep ancient history. So for those people going through this and trying to kind of reconcile and maybe just starting to start their journey on the paranormal and the things that of all the unknown, I'd say come back to a place of self-love and kindness towards yourself first and foremost, because it can be quite traumatizing if you go through it in different ways, and because it can be very judgmental and things like that. So just be kind to yourself, be open, and stay curious and really stay open-minded, because quite literally nothing is impossible. If you can dream it in your mind, then it exists somewhere in this infinite universe. So, just some food for thought.
Amazing. I like that. So I'm going to keep an open mind now. Like, anything can happen. So Heather, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, honestly, I think we've really got all the major points, and yeah, no, I don't have anything else.
I agree. But okay, so my question to you is then, what is the starting point where, there is so much material available, there is so much on the internet, on the videos, there's so much information these days that, you Google it, you'll find it. Some are true, some are not so true. So what is the starting point? If somebody feels if somebody is feeling very intuitive, or they're feeling this, spiritual activity, or they're feeling their loved ones. So what is the starting point there?
I'll touch on that. And for me, it's like with anything in life, it's the willingness, or at least the willing to be. And we've said this throughout the course of this conversation today, is that it really starts with ourselves and tapping into that. And I think that requires us shedding a lot of our ego, a lot of that conditioning that Chris spoke about earlier. And yeah, I think spirituality and self-awareness are one and the same thing, and it's never becoming something, it's just letting go of stuff. So it's letting go of what's blocking you and being willing to do that, willing to face those things that are in our way and allowing them to let go, so we can really connect. It's like a disturbance between the two, between all that stuff we're holding inside of us is such, the disturbance, the only word that's up to me, but I have this vision of kind of like this fogginess, that doesn't allow it with us, vice versa. So yeah, if I had to baseline it, the willingness to be willing and really connecting to ourselves and shedding what doesn't serve us and our conditioning.
Yeah, it always starts from yourself, right? It is within you, and you have to open yourself to the new experience. I think that's amazing. Okay, Tanya, where do they start?
So you're asking about a personal tool, or are you asking about sort of online resources?
Anything, if somebody is new into it and they're feeling, they have strong feeling and strong energy now, they don't know what it is and they're trying to know more about it. Where do they start? Should they go on the internet? Should they read a book, or is there a personal tool which can help them? Whichever one you think is apt.
Well, because a lot of people like to learn through the intellect. They want to awaken and understand this intellectually. So a lot of books are great resources. I'm just thinking of a couple of centers that provide workshops, and they have literature. So the Monroe Institute, Windbridge Research Center, they actually do studies on mediumship. They actually test mediums, and they do what's called a quintuple blind study, so that nobody knows what's going on. There's no way the mediums can get information from any other way. I think, Chris, you were referring to the Division of Perceptual Studies, is the University of Virginia, right? So that's actually something, if you wanted to check out my website, I actually have a resources page on lifecontinuing.com. And I have all of these listed. I have all the guests that have been on my show and all their books because most of them have written books. And I have them kind of broken down into categories. So consciousness, science and spirituality, sound healing, mediumship, that kind of thing. So because that's something that helped me. So I started with that platform and I've been growing it ever since. And I continue to add things all the time. And I think that's a great way to start because that's how I learned.
Okay, that's amazing. Chris.
Yeah, that's all fantastic because I'm very similar. I'm very scientific oriented, very intellectual in terms of needing to understand these metaphysical, concepts, higher, crazy kind of things that we sometimes think are just nuts. But I love to understand the science of it. So just to add on to what everyone's been saying, I would recommend, like I said before, the research of Dr. Stephen Greer, which is the disclosureproject.org, and his CE5, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, because then it goes into a lot of other things. And I'll just list off a couple of other people that I do recommend people look into. There's another man, Dean Radin, R-A-D-I-N. He's the chief scientist at the place called the Institute of Noetic Sciences. And they specifically research the paranormal and all the different ways in which we can actually start to measure this in a scientific way. So that's the Institute of Noetic Sciences. And then there's a real phenomenal psychologist and author, Dr. Matthew McKay, and he wrote this insane, he had one heck of a life experience. I'll quickly summarize it. Basically, his son unfortunately passed away, and in his grief, he turned to mediumship. This is a scientist, not someone who would normally do this, but in his grief, was desperate and turned to mediumship, was able to actually connect with his son in the afterlife, so much so that they ended up engaging in daily conversations when he would go into a state of channeling and would start to write out all the things that his son was telling him from the afterlife. He's now published 2 or 3 books co-written by himself and his deceased son. So check that out. That's Dr. Matthew McKay. And just Google that and you'll find his books. The last thing I'll say for a resource, and there's too many things I want to touch on quickly, but the last thing for a resource is, YouTube's great, of course, you can learn everything there, but it is also a bit of, Wild West as well. If you want to go a bit more, if you're interested in all this kind of stuff, there's a great network that's called Gaia and Gaia TV. And it's basically the Netflix of more conscious, supernatural type of programming. So they'll go into anything from meditation, yoga, but into the paranormal, into ancient history, alternative history, and things of that nature. So if you want to access programs that have a lot of really incredible information and resources, Gaia TV is one of my favorite resources, where it really spears a lot of my research. But the last thing I'll say outside of the scientific realm and intellectual realm is, one of the big things that helped me is the most basic thing, but it was really starting to learn meditation and get into meditation and quiet my mind and get into that side of things, the more spirituality side. And you couldn't start, like, the best thing to really start off with is meditation, just quieting the mind. But if you want to take it a step further, there are, of course, ways to learn meditation. And the way I learned was through transcendental meditation. There's many TM institutes all around the world that you can learn from, but it's not the only way. There's many, many others, but that's what I did. So together with the intellectual stuff and the science, I think it's still important to bring in the spirituality and to quiet the mind and to start to tune into your inner world, the inner universe, and of course, your inner knowing and your intuition and stuff. And that really starts to help when you start to meditate. So that's what I'll say on that.
Thanks, Chris. That was amazing. Yeah, for me, even I believe that meditation helps. As a religious person, as a Muslim, I read those 5 prayers during the day, and I feel that helps me connect to that. That has helped me connect with my dad somehow. So, how it interlocks there. Yeah. Go on, Heather. You have something to say? And
Oh no, I'm just so glad you brought up prayer. I think prayer and meditation go so hands in hands. For me, I do my meditation first and then my prayer. And the meditation is to kind of clear my mind so that noise is out of the way, so that I can hear the answers to prayers. And my prayers are never, can I have this? It's always just guide me. And, I can hear that guidance through that. So I'm just so glad you touched on prayer, because I think it's such an important part of the package. So thank you.
Thank
And
you.
actually, yeah, I'll add on to that too. Basically, it's a sense of affirmation, or it's speaking things into existence. So like we were saying before, every religion has a mystical or a spiritual origin to it. They're all interconnected and interlinked for sure. And there's amazing tidbits to take from every single one. And the prayer is amazing because you can use different words. Some people get triggered maybe by that word, but it's just another way of saying you're saying things out loud that mean something to you and maybe mean something to other people. And it makes you feel differently. You transform after saying these things. So there's a whole phenomenon that happens when you speak and you hear your own voice. Again, there's science that's starting to show this, where if you actually hear your own voice, you're starting to create a cycle of energy and frequency where it's emanating from your body, comes out of your mouth, enters back in through your ears, and then now continues this whole cycle. And so if you're saying positive and affirming things to yourself and loving things, then that's going to change not only your emotional mental state, but it's going to change your whole physiology as well, because we know that the cells in our body, they change based on our emotional state. We know this with also scientific experiments too. So there's something very valid about prayer, and it's awesome. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, thank you. So we have some audience here. So I want to open it up to them. And if they have any questions, please go ahead and you can ask. You can unmute and ask the question. And you can direct it to the person you want to ask it to.
Hello,
No
how are
question.
you?
No, hi.
How are you? I just want to thank Nasreen for bringing me on tonight. I've been enjoying this so much. I'm a spiritual channeler, and I do mediumship and Reiki energy healing and such. So I just thoroughly love this conversation. It's like, oh my God. Even talking like Chris about the orbs and Whistler and stuff like that. I saw an orb in New Mexico when I went to see Greg Braden a few years ago. And it's hilarious when you say the points of disbelief. I remember waking up in the middle of the night and seeing it on my pillow and touching it and thinking there's a flashlight in my pillow. And then I would touch it and it would go out. Just like, no, it comes back again. It's like, okay, who's messing with me? Who put a flashlight in my pillow? And then I realized, no, Melissa, you're in New Mexico. You were seeing a white orb here and you're talking. And then I felt the energy all nice and calm and just so loving and peaceful. I think after a few minutes, I went up to go pee and then it disappeared. So it's just like, yeah, it's just so cool. Just all your experiences, they're so endearing. Even with talks about your father and such, where my dad passed away many years ago, but it's because of him probably that I was able to trust and learn in mediumship, because he used to smoke cigarettes, you'd smell smoke and just validation from your other medium friends that yes, this is your dad, he's coming through, and literally hearing music of like Gotta Have Faith by George Michael and like Trouble by Taylor Swift. Years ago when I went through a marital separation and breakdown, literally every day to hear those songs. And it was my dad helping me getting through the toughest times in my life. And now I bring through higher beings of light through my channelings, the Pleiadians, Arcturians, and once again, they help me through my marital breakdown separation. And they help me everyday life. Every time I do a channeling, it's so much guidance and love that we all need, because we are living in a pretty crazy time. I have more words for that. Actually, I had a really kind of a little bit angry about issues where the times of today are affecting me. I'm gonna cry now. One of my dearest friends, it's putting a divide between us, and it's nothing I would ever want. And it's hard. It's so hard. We can't. She won't let us go sit in her living room with her and my daughter because we're not vaccinated. Even though my daughter had COVID, it's a very hard time, and I thank the Lord for my guides to help me get through this, knowing that there are going to be better days ahead, because it's been I try to stay positive, and it's just today it's like, holy moly, like it's something that you wouldn't in your heart you wouldn't want to imagine. It's like, and I don't want to let it happen, so I'm thinking like, don't let it happen, but the words are going there. It's like, stay calm. It's like, it's tough.
Yeah. I hope you stay positive.
Yes.
Come on, you have all the help, and
I do. And I teach meditation, and my passion is to help other people open up to their own intuition awareness, because we all can do it, and we all were born able to do it. Myself, I remember one of the other ladies spoke. I didn't do it. Well, I had to practice to learn it. I started meditation, then I slowly opened up slowly over time. Then I slowly began mediumship. It was all slow, then slowly into channeling, where some people are, boom, they're born with it. Like my daughter, like when a little kid, she was seeing guides, and then we can sit down and do little mini readings. It's like, well, she didn't take courses for years like I did, but all the kids nowadays they're coming into this world so awake and so
Yeah.
connected. I love Chris' conversation about the past lives that kids are coming into and they're remembering. It's like I remember I sat in front of a kid one time at a health show, and this kid's telling the kid's on his mom's lap and telling me about his sister and how she died of filling with lungs, and how he felt like it was his past life, and it was like so real. It's like, whoa. It's still like it's hard to believe, but it's like so cool.
Thank you, Melissa. Do you have any question for any of our panelists?
No, I just thoroughly enjoying this conversation. I'm here cooking in the background and listening. It's like, oh my God, what a great night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mandeep, Nasreen, Saira, do you have any questions?
I just joined, so
Yeah.
sorry.
No problem. Okay, I have a question because we do get questions. So one of the questions is, why is so much negativity attached to paranormal activity? So,
Well,
yeah,
I can.
Chris, I see you unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just first touch on this. I'm sure we all got lots to say there. First and foremost, we can definitely think, as a filmmaker, I can easily attest to the pop culture, for sure. The films that we watch, the TV shows that we watch. There's a reason we call it television programming, right? And it's a reason, why do you think it's called television? Telling a vision of something else. So it's a very great way to, on positive and negative, it's a great method to educate and get people to see things in a different way. So with that being said, what do you think of with what Paranormal Activity? That's a horror film. It's a great horror film, a series of horror films, and they are terrifying, and they are really, really effective at scaring the living crap out of you when it comes to ghosts and poltergeist and a million other Hollywood pop culture references that we can make to when is paranormal ever positive? When it comes into film, almost never. So it's always viewed as a negative, much like the outlook on alien life, extraterrestrial life. It's always, they're here to invade us, they're here to clone us, they're here to do God knows what to us. It's always negative, 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 negative. So that's why, in my opinion, that's a huge reason why. And the other side is that we always typically will fear the unknown. So there's a fear of the unknown, and there's also a conditioning to fear the paranormal.
Yeah, agree with you, Chris, because I remember back home when kids don't eat or kids are being naughty, they're told like, okay, a ghost is going to come take you away, or we are going to put you into the dark room. So these are all like, there's so much negative connotations attached to it that your conditioning becomes so negative around these things. You're not expecting new experiences or getting to know a new person on the other side. You're like scared of how you're going to feel in a dark room, and maybe that's what happens. Yeah. Okay, so I think we are at the end of it. Anybody has any last thoughts?
I'll just say thank you.
I guess I just touch on.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Nasreen.
I just wanted to say thank you. It was a great discussion. Loved it. And seriously, when you guys were talking, I had tons of questions going in my head, but now I can't think of a single one. So
Okay.
maybe if we could have contact information of the three panelists, so then maybe we can like shoot our questions later on maybe the Public Allies chat thing there, and hopefully it will come to me later.
Yeah, absolutely. The information is already on the description where the video is, but you can always leave a comment, and we hope that they are going to answer your questions.
Well,
Um,
I'll haunt them if they don't.
uh-oh.
Yeah.
One last thought I wanted to say. First and foremost, I'm just so honored to be here, and I was utterly just it was like the juiciest conversation I've had in a while. So that was fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for today. This has been amazing. And I think with this whole realm of paranormal, it's also, there's a real comforting side to this, which is the more that we open up to these things, the more we understand that everything is connected. We're all connected. No one's alone. This idea of separation is a total illusion. And science is still, once again, proving this more and more every day. So, especially in the times that we're in, couldn't be a better time to start getting into these areas, because at the end of the day, all it really also does is get you to understand yourself better and who you really are, what is your purpose here, that you are important, that we are very special, and we have a lot of reason to be here, and that it's actually a beautiful thing. And we all, even if we're the most different and opposite from one each other, there's still a foundation of love, and there's still a absolute core connection that we all share. Every living being on this entire universe, we all share a connection with each other because we all come from that same source of creation. So when you go down this rabbit hole, many rabbit holes of paranormal activity or whatever it is, you'll actually, if you stay away from a lot of the pop culture stuff, there's a real beautiful side to this. And it's a side of like better understanding of yourself and the connection that we have with everything.
Amazing. You don't leave anything to me. I cannot add anything else because you've said it all. Thanks, Chris. That's amazing. Tanya, Heather, anything to add? No? Okay.
Oh, if I can just add something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So as much as I love the science of it, because I also found that learning about the science helped me find the language and the phraseology to explain things to people, to express myself in different ways, and to connect with different people who are either scientific minded or spiritual minded, or people who just aren't in any of those realms and they don't really think or talk about it. So it gives me an opportunity to figure out how to phrase things, and it's super cool. But on the other side of it, and with my experience that I've had, I mean, the bottom line is that spirituality, that the sense of something greater. And when you were talking about religion earlier, I mean, we're still here to have experiences, to have these 3D Earth-like experiences in this reality. So, we need to explore it through different avenues, through different methodologies, through religion, through different jobs, etc. I mean, that's our life. That's where we chose to be here, is the consensus about, our souls being in a body. So we're here to live. So I think it's beautiful, and I love the mishmash of all the contrast in the world, because it just makes for an interesting ride. That's all.
Amazing. I agree. And that reminds me, you said earlier that it's the faith, right? What people call it, it's left to them. Some call it spirituality, some call it religion, some call it like energy, some call it universe. So it's like what they're holding on to get to know themselves better, to get those experiences. It's absolutely fine. Like you said, it's an experience. Live it, experience it, know it, right? Be open to it. So thank you so much. It was so amazing having all the three of you and the rest of the audience here today. This was like a new kind of roundtable for us, and this was done the first time. Maybe like this is a broader conversation, like a bigger one. We should talk about ancient mysteries the next time. So we will be, yes, I know, Chris, we will be calling you again. So that's our hope, and I hope you show up. Thank you so much again for coming here today and opening us to new channels, new experiences. I'm going to practice some of them and see how it goes. And I hope our audience does it too. Please write to us or comment below if you have had those experiences, or if you use one of the tools or techniques that our panelists have spoken about here. And if it worked, please let us know. Okay, thank you so much. had an amazing discussion. And next week, we are going to be talking about, we are going to be having Nisreen Mamafoda on our on our webinar. And so we look forward to it. And thank you so much again, and have a wonderful good evening. Bye.